Hello, hello, and welcome to another show. Good to see you, Mark.
Yeah, you too are. How are things with you?
Things are pretty good. I'm always excited when it's been a little gap since the last Check It Out show, and we've got our new academic year show. And once again, we've got a full agenda for tonight with some great solutions, services, and organisations. So I think it's going to be a really action-packed one again tonight, which is lovely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But with us having such a time off, really, for the summer holidays and so forth and so on, asking you with your chair of Multi Academy Trust sort of hat on, how have things been back at school, going back to school after the summer break, Al?
I have to say, and I'm really, really conscious of not tempting fate, things have gone really, really well. But I don't think that's just by luck. That's by a huge amount of planning and prep that's gone in with the teams to kind of smooth that transition back. I think anybody involved in education will say it's just lovely to see not just children in school, but certainly for the secondary schools across our mats. One of the nicest things is teachers getting their own classrooms back. Now we've moved away from the bubbles. And I think from a well-being perspective, that's been huge for staff, just getting their own room and space and seeing, children moving around the courtyards. I think is fantastic. Last week I was in one of our schools and the head was sharing, they were very excited. There seemed to be about a 70v70 football match going on at lunchtime. But again, great to see the kids out and actually together in larger groups and enjoying what they should be doing. So from that point of view, yeah, all really positive. Lots still to do. I think there are concerns all around the country and beyond in terms of will things, as the cold and flu season picks up, tend to scupper things a little bit, but we're remaining optimistic and positive. And I'm sure something you've picked up on as well, Mark. It's also nice to see some of the approaches that we've adopted over the last 18 months still continuing to be part of the narrative and actually getting embedded in the longer term for schools to actually use, which is good to see.
Yeah, no, massively so. In fact, some of the work I've been doing at the start of term with schools with my sort of trainer and inset hat on, I've seen things move on massively in terms of the certainly around confidence and competence in the base level sort of stuff, using the various platforms that schools use, but being able to really sort of extend and stretch things forwards. That teacher confidence competence diagram that both of us share quite frequently. It's really nice to see people sort of not being at survival. Lots and lots of impact and innovation going on, and not just mastery. So fantastic to see that. But yeah, it is worrying with COVID rates and all these things still going on. But I am optimistic too. I mean, the flu and cold season had some worries myself and my own children recently about that, but it was a bad cough and cold. So lots to sort of consider and think about in this sort of post-pandemic world, isn't there?
There is, and I think it's also, you think about the schools. We're on here as a Check It Out show with all of the different vendors and providers. It's also a changing landscape for vendors because we've got, the road shows and the big exhibitions and conferences that we like returning back to that physical face-to-face. Quite a few of us are heading over to Jess in Dubai in about 6 weeks' time, a show you know very well, Mark. There's some great roadshow events that we're going to be perhaps touching on this evening with BESA, like LearnEd. We're planning, like many are, for the BET show in January and many of the events across in the US. And that, again, I think is so really positive for the sector, but actually just about relationships and contacts and actually getting back together, networking. And that's often where some of the best practice gets shared, I reckon.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. When you sort of do a post-bet analysis, for example, you ask people, what they got from their visit to bet, and you'll get an odd sort of new app or a new function or a new bit of kit thrown in every now and then. But the majority of the feedback is always, the conversations, the catching up, the things you've learned from each other, all those sort of things. So looking to really enjoy facilitating those conversations at the different events that we're getting involved with. And of course, the Check It Out show is a great way of extending that conversation beyond the events as well. I think whilst we see blended learning being embedded more and more inside schools, actually a blended approach to how we share about products and vendors and services and updates and those sort of things is certainly an interesting way to look at things moving forwards.
Yeah, and we've managed to be a nice bit of glue, really, because I do see it as kind of complementary. But obviously, as our first guest this evening, which I won't reveal for another 30 seconds, 60 seconds or so, we'll kind of share, you know, part of what I want to do is, and we collectively do, Mark, is make sure that we promote the organisations and the events that are there to actually support the sector and educators. And I think it's very much about teamwork, isn't it? Everyone trying to do the right thing and support the sector. And I think our first guest is a really good example of some of the, you know, collaborative work that's been going on to support vendors over the last 18 months and facilitate, you know, access for schools.
Yeah, here. And so with that in mind, shall we bring on our first guest before we
I think we should. A familiar face, but let's do it.
Brilliant. Hi there, Caroline. How are you doing?
Hi, yeah. Great to see you both. Very well.
Good
thanks.
evening. Welcome to the show.
Thank
again.
It's nice to be back.
Lovely to see you. I was obviously just alluding before you joined us, Caroline, to the fact that, you know, BEES has been very much the phrase I often use, the jam in the sandwich, helping support that collaboration between vendors and the education sector, particularly over the last 18 months, although obviously for many, many years. You know, any reflections from your point of view or any highlights you'd like to share before we dip into a key point?
Yeah, I mean, for me, this last month, since there's obviously we have been trying to do as best we can online supporting teachers and schools. Well, they've been doing online learning themselves, but just last Friday, it was amazing to be in Liverpool for the first of our LearnEd roadshows. And literally, I was helping with the reg desk as teachers were coming in. And it was just so lovely. It's actually quite emotional to see people face to face and the teachers coming together. And actually, as the LearnEds are all about sharing peer-to-peer best practice. And people were just so pleased to be able to come out, get together, actually just reflect. And for me, I think that's, schools are obviously still really, really crazily busy, but I just think it's building that time in to reflect on everything we've come through, but pupils and staff and well-being themselves, and reflecting and giving teachers time to think about, well, what has happened, what has worked well as it being, you know, awful in many, many ways, but what could we learn from it and move forward? So that reflection was brilliant. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed that.
You're on mute, Mark.
Which is something I should have learned by now. Now, I was saying the event you had, LearnEd, at the Jockey Club in Liverpool, it was great to see the likes of John Jones from Royal Grammar School Worcester, for example, sharing their great work, you know, award-winning digital strategy and fantastic approaches to using technology there. And it's so important to be able to sort of share those things, isn't it? And it's so much more helpful to have the context when you're in the place and space with the person. You can go off and have a chat with them afterwards, all those things as well. So it's great to see you facilitating those conversations again, Caroline.
Thank you. And we've got one. So just to explain, actually, I'm sort of straight in talking about LearnEd, but LearnEd is a EdTech CPD roadshow that's free for teachers to join. They're deliberately kind of, you know, not huge. So it's a couple of hundred teachers at a time coming together for panel sessions, like you say, learning from experts, and also the people who have become experts and sharing kind of where things haven't worked as well as where they have worked, so we can all learn from them. So we've got sort of 8 or 9 of them. The ones before Christmas are in London, they're in Oxford, Ashford, Birmingham. There's probably 1 or 2 more I've forgotten, but kind of we're going around the country. And then after Christmas, we're going to be in Newcastle and Norwich and Exeter and Doncaster. So it's really a case of actually, you know, teachers are very, very welcome to come along and also kind of come along and listen, but also come along and speak. So sort of getting in touch, because we want to connect teachers with each other. And then also we have, I think, kind of, as Al mentioned, kind of the jam in the sandwich, kind of, we've got the suppliers there as well who've been supporting everyone through things. So for me, it's about that sort of really helping support teachers be able to hear from each other. And I think there's kind of, we've obviously got BET coming up as well. And the one thing I did want to mention, if I can, I've discovered something about BET that I wasn't aware of, that teachers can get if you want to come to. It's obviously can be quite expensive getting to London. There are bursaries of up to £250 to cover the travel costs of teachers who want to come if they apply. There's something called the Learn It conference alongside, so they can get bursaries to actually get down to BET. So I thought that was great.
You've heard it here first. That's definitely one that we should make sure that that teachers are aware of and invest in. In terms of the LearnEd events, Caroline, I know our own team at NetSport are heading over to Birmingham at your events, and they've always been very successful events. For others who are listening in, particularly if I think about some of our peers who are perhaps new, small startup vendors, services, and so on, what's the kind of appeal or the kind of opportunities for vendors to get involved?
For the LearnEd conferences, I think it's being able to have those conversations one-to-one with teachers in a really friendly environment where it's actually about solving teachers' problems with kind of being able to talk about how you work in your companies with them. So that's really helpful for smaller as well as larger suppliers. And then there's also, both of these initiatives came out of the government's EdTech strategy in 2019, and there's a sister initiative called LendEd, so kind of, you know, really accepting that it's still challenging for teachers to be able to get the time out of school. LendEd is a portal, I'll try and put in the chat, but where you can just access and look at examples from peer, you know, other teachers saying how they've used particular EdTech products, and that's open for kind of small and large suppliers to be able to share their case studies and experiences, and also easy for teachers to check and give their own ratings of products too. So it's kind of, you know, a tool to be able to find out what's out there.
So really, it's definitely a case of get yourself into both parts if you can. Get yourself at LearnEd and LendEd as the two kind of go hand in hand in many regards.
Yeah, I'll just pop the URL for LendEd up onto the screen there for everyone if you're interested in finding out more about that. If you know, you're a company, a small startup, and you've been hiding under a rock for goodness knows how long, how can they get involved in working and getting the support from the BESA organisation, Caroline?
Thank you. Well, I think the key thing is for being a part of the BESA community, I think the one thing that really binds together all of the companies is they have to have a particular ethos. You know, they have to sign up to our code of practice. So we know there are thousands of companies out there, but actually we want to be able to talk to schools about the ones that they can trust, the ones that look after their data, the ones that are mindful of safeguarding security, and the ones that have ethics and a code of customer practice. So if you're one of those companies, which I'm pleased to say there are more of than aren't, come and talk to us. And there are a whole range. We've got kind of startup services to support companies as they're growing, to connect them to you know, schools where they can trial and work hand in hand to develop their products. And then we also have our kind of our full BESA support membership for companies that are out there trading with schools already. So yeah, just come to me and I'll put them in the right place.
And I should just add, as part of that, also some great support and services for those looking to take their solutions overseas, Caroline, as well.
Absolutely. And that's something that's taking up a lot of our time in a good way at the moment. Obviously, you mentioned the GES event in Dubai. We've got other events in Hong Kong and Asia. And there's a huge demand for British education, and it's testament to the teachers as well as industry, but a huge demand for EdTech products. And it's helping Britain, as we come out of everything we've come from, taking up our place again, kind of leading the way internationally.
Amen to that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for taking the time to join us on the show and opening things up for us this evening, Caroline. We very much appreciate it and look forward to seeing you IRL, as it were, at either a LendEd event or a BESA event in the very near future. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much, and well done for everything you're doing. It's so amazing to listen into these. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Caroline. Take care.
Cheers. Bye now.
Always good to hear. I think it's really important that you've got that central hub on a lot of these activities, and it's an ever-moving feast. So I think it's great that Caroline makes the time to come and support and share with other people on our show. So big thank you to Caroline for that.
No, absolutely. I mean, she supported me on lots of my side projects over the years as well. And I think it goes to sort of show a reflection of the organisation as well, you know. I mean, she talks about the importance of their code of practice and all those sort of things. But, you know, in a world where, you know, leading from the top like she is around all of this, she's definitely somebody who doesn't just talk the talk, but walks it at the same time. So thank you again, Caroline, for joining us this evening. Thank you.
And moving swiftly on, Mr. Anderson, we have something, a completely different flavour, really moving away from perhaps our mainstream of teachers and thinking more about the people that keep all the cogs whirring within our schools and multi-academy trusts. Very much the realm of the IT team, the tech managers and so on. and an organisation that I can personally say, as a business leader, we've been involved in for many, many years, and a great organisation they are. So really chuffed that we're able to have our next guests on the show, which are EduGeek, and Chris is with us, I believe.
Hi, Al. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Chris. Welcome. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well. Thank you. Yourselves?
Yeah,
Doing
not
very
too bad.
well.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Oh,
So
good.
I know from my experience of being a head of computing over the years and that sort of thing, the importance that the EduGeek community provide to those colleagues of mine who make sure that all the magic in my classroom happens. Technical team, network managers, all these fantastic people who make it all happen. But for those who don't know about EduGeek and then what you do, could you share to our audience about EduGeek and what it is that you actually do?
Yeah, sure. We're essentially EduGeek is essentially an online community of professionals who work in education who basically work with technology. So it covers everything from your network managers, your technicians, your IT teaching staff, senior leadership teams, and we cover everything from technical problems, purchases, policy, planning, things like internet policies, and it's all free. We don't charge a penny, we don't sell you details, we don't send out newsletters, we don't pass your details on. It's safe to use. We do police it quite heavily for language. So it's actually settled down. We've not had to slap anybody's wrists in quite a few years now for getting a bit naughty on the site and having to make an example of someone. But yeah, it's been I'm really impressed with the way it turned out. If I can go into a bit of the history about the entire thing, it might make a bit more sense. EduGeek was founded in 2005, and at the time I was working as Lancashire Schools lead techie, and we had a little internal forum there for the schools in Lancashire, and it worked brilliantly. My job mainly was liaison with schools, passing on information, and then being able to pass information back to me, and it was a great place to do it. So one day, as part of my job remit, which was to forge links with other LEAs and regions, I turned around to my bosses and said, well, why don't we open this up to other regions? And local government politics kicked in and they said, well, we're not going to pay for something someone else is going to use, are we? I thought, right, okay, I sat on the idea for a couple of years, and it really, really started gnawing at me. And my wife at the time was pregnant with our second child, and she was going to bed early each night. So I went, right, I need something to do. I'll do this. So I spent a couple of days thinking up a name. It had to be something a bit light-hearted and not too serious. So I bought the domain and I downloaded some software to make the online community. Got it going, messaged a friend of mine back on MSN Messenger in the day and said, what do you think? He went, it's all right. I said, shall I take it down and work on it? He went, no, nobody's got to see it, are they? So I left it. And then the next day somebody joined, and then 2 more people joined. And a couple of years ago, we hit 100,000 members. So it's carried on from there.
I have to say, it is a fantastic resource, Chris. I mean, there's such a wealth of information in there. I think if you've got a technical question, there's either the answer's already been answered by at least a dozen people, or there's plenty of people that within an hour or two will set you straight with examples and references. And I think that's the real beauty, is the scale of it.
Well, that's it. I mean, we've got over 1 million posts now. I think it must be pushing 1.5 million posts now. And yeah, the amount of knowledge on the site, that's not just the knowledge on the site, but the people on the site and the knowledge they have is amazing. They really are a bunch of really, really dedicated, talented people. And it's just something that makes me smile every day when I go in there, and there'll be a big thread about something that probably nobody else on the planet's ever encountered before. And that's the thing about education as well. We started it with the what's the best way to put it? We started it with the idea that, especially in education, we face problems that nobody else faces in the commercial sector or anywhere else, and it's completely unique. And yeah, it just took off because of that, and it worked really, really well. So from there, we went to having initially we were asked to provide the technical support stand at BET, and we were doing that from about 2007, 2008. And then we started having our own conferences. So we have our own conferences every year. They're free to attend as well, and we move them around the country. And yeah, it's just been an amazing experience to meet all these people as well in the community. We make a great effort to meet them as well. I mean, when you're talking to Caroline there about Bet, it's one of the things I really miss because we haven't done a show in 2 years. It's like we haven't met anybody in 2 years. So we're really, really looking forward to that. So hopefully we'll be having our restarting our conferences next year as well.
Excellent. That's really good to hear. I'm conscious on time, Chris, but for those listening in, what would you say are the kind of the differentiators or the key things for people to be aware of if they wanted to come along and either access EduGeek free as a teacher or as a vendor get involved in the community?
As a teacher, you just go to the homepage, you'll see a register icon and you can click on that and register for free. As a vendor, you can do the same as well, but you can't use the site commercially. Yeah, there are strict limits. Only sponsors can use the site commercially. However, if somebody does post a question about your products or services, you can answer that, but in a non-commercial way. So if somebody says, I've got a program and it's not doing X, you can go in there and you can reply to the member, and that's fine. As long as you don't say, well, you need to upgrade and it's going to cost this much and give me a ring on this number. No, we don't allow that. Yeah.
No. And that's an important part, I think, of the ethos and the site being very much promoted for sharing rather than for selling, isn't it?
Oh, very much so. Yeah. That's why we do everything for free. There's no charges at all. Absolutely nothing. Can I just mention something? Because I know some of our members have been getting quite itchy fingers about the new site we've got coming along. We're going to be upgrading EduGeek soon. It is happening. We are working on it, and we do apologise. The past 18 months has been utter chaos as to our plans for upgrading the site because the platform we're moving to, they all furloughed. So the support wasn't there, and I know Sean, my business partner, he's been working really hard behind the scenes to make things happen. But it is coming, and it's coming sooner than people think.
Yeah, well, you heard this here first as well tonight.
Yeah.
So thanks for that update, Chris. That's really appreciated. Brilliant. So you've shared where we can find you anyway, which is fantastic. So head over to EduGeek.
It's edugeek.net, yes, edugeek.net, or you can tweet us on hashtag EduGeek. Where, yeah, we're out there in the Twitter land, Twitterverse. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Well, I know it gets a big thumbs up from myself, and I'm very confident you get a big thumbs up from Al as well. So thank you for taking time to come and share a bit about EduGeek and its history as well today, Chris. Thank you ever so much.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for your support over the years as well. It's been much appreciated. Really has.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
So fantastic. We're ripping through. I'm mindful we're behind time a little bit already, which is never a good look. But I do want to do a little shout out to the people who are joining us live this evening as well. So big thanks to the team at Dogsthorpe Infant School, very close to your heart there, Al. So thank you to the team there for joining us.
Hi, Dave, Becky.
Thanks to Kat, who's on the show a bit later, actually talking about a few things. So we're looking forward to chatting to you later. Thank you to Bookie Youssef, my co-host on the EdTech show that I do every month with her as part of Global EdTech and former co-host on UK Edu Stories. Thank you to Maggie for joining us over in the US as well. Always great to have a global audience joining us. I wanted to make sure that our audience were represented there. And if you're watching but just lurking and not chatting, please do say hi in the comments. We'd love to hear what you're thinking about the products and the services that are being shared on the show this evening. So speaking of people sharing about things, I'm just going to bring in our next guest, which is going to require me to do something like this. So our next guest needs no introduction because it's the same person who was just here a moment ago. Hi there, Al.
Did I look suitably surprised?
Very much so. I mean, I think the bubble behind you really helped with that. You're here today wanting to share about an initiative which was launched very, very recently, but in an effort to try and share more to the educator community and involving educators as well. Do you want to share a little bit about what that initiative was, Al, please? Yeah,
I mean, fundamentally, it's all about sharing, isn't it? And there's so many great resources. You know, you and I, Mark, have done all sorts of different activities to try and share content, best practice, advice, and guidance. And the thing that really comes across is there are so many amazing people within the education space who've got fantastic experience on different topics and are really, you know, willing and able to share articles and top tips and best practice. So we decided as a team, and one of the things that we always try and do at NetSport is to kind of reach out and be there as a support for the community in lots of different ways. that we would launch a new quarterly magazine called Rise. And part of the sort of philosophy behind Rise was really saying, let's pull together all these different amazing voices and all these great ideas that people are sharing into a magazine where there's 80 plus pages of articles on everything from community, shared voices, communication, well-being, inclusivity, diversity. There's top tips on things that we recommend, like books this month. There's everything from our furry friends that we might find supporting our youngest learners in schools and across the group. Obviously, there's thought leadership on things from digital learning and much, much more. It's a really kind of fantastic, vibrant magazine with something for everybody.
Thanks, Al. And listen, one of the questions we always ask on the show is, what sort of sets it out from the competitors? But, well, I mean, I know you'll share your points of view, but are there any competitors to the Rise magazine?
Well, we don't advertise anything, and it's not for sale, so that limits our competitive streak, I suppose. I mean, the reality check is there's loads of great resources, often by the same people that we've got included in our magazine in lots of different places. What we try to do is pull them all together in something that means that you've got one reference doc that's got lots of current ideas and thoughts. And again, it's really facilitating that sharing. We've got, I believe, from your good self, Mark, we've got a good periodic table of people to follow and apps this time, isn't it? We've got for iOS. Yeah. There's, like I say, books, there's different resources, websites to head over to, as well as we introduce to you 20, 30 different authors of articles within the magazine this month. And I think really, if we can just be that catalyst and that facilitator to put people in front of all the great voices that are out there, then personally, I think that's a big tick in a box, and that's what we're all about.
No, I completely agree. And, you've heard me say this many times before, that every day is a learning day. And as someone who's involved in doing some proofing and reading so many articles before, I was so excited because I learned so much from all the authors that are in there, from early years to primary to secondary to FE and beyond, vendor perspectives, all sorts of things. So, yeah,
absolutely.
Just a really enjoyable read. What was really lovely as well was seeing how some schools had taken the PDF and printed it and were using it as a resource for staff on the coffee table in the staff room and these sort of things as well. So, yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. What's next for the Rise magazine, Alan? When's the next issue coming out?
Well, there's going to be another issue. We said termly. It's going to be at the turn of the year, so something to be waiting. Hopefully, if you head across to our website and subscribe now, we'll be waiting in your inbox for you at the start of the new spring term. And as you'd expect, we've got jam-packed full, loads more articles. We've already got lots of people who've contributed. We want to pull up some top tips. We also want to feature, and I'm sure Caroline will be pleased to hear that, one of the big events, certainly in the UK for many schools, when we're looking at resources and technology, and of course, good CPD, is heading over to the BET Show. So we're going to be providing lots of top tips and things to check out at the BET Show. I believe your good self, Mark, with your years of experience, is going to provide some guidance on how to get the most out of your visit and your day, and lots of other activities and resources. And again, if all it does is facilitate some great ideas, places to go, stands to see, different events and activities that are on at BET and around BET at the same time, then I think it just means that there's that extra value for money for everybody.
No, absolutely. And where people go to find out more about it, and where can people actually download the Rise magazine from?
It's squiggling along the bottom, netsportsoftware.com, and it's /Rise-magazine, or from the menu, look at resources and you'll see Rise magazine listed there. Completely free. Just fill in a couple of bits of information, subscribe, and it'll arrive magically in your inbox as each new issue comes out.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much indeed, Al. So with that in mind, having a little chat about the Rise mag, should we have a little look at who's up next on the shows and sharing?
Indeedy, absolutely, yes. So are you going to lead in on this one, Mark?
After you, Mr. Kingsley.
We always get to the point, we're so excited when it's the next guest. It's like, who's going to go first? Next up, we have Katie here from Time, who's going to be joining us.
Hi everyone. How are you doing?
Hello, welcome to the show. Good to see you, Katie.
Nice to see you.
And the one thing we never managed to organise very well on this show is time. So it's lovely to have somebody representing Time coming on to put us straight, Katie.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Al. Yeah, it's a tricky one. We've got to save time, isn't it? That's the most important thing. So
Yes, but we're perhaps not the best exponents of that one. So without further ado, Katie, tell us all about Time.
yeah, okay. So Time is basically, it's an online platform, a little bit like the Rise magazine that you've just spoken about, Al. It's a sort of collection of UK educators and businesses who are doing amazing things around the country. We've just sort of collected them together with online courses. And so we've split it into 3 sections. We've got a section for teachers, we've got a section for parents, and we've got a section for students. And the idea is that the school subscribe to it and they get the platform for their whole school community for a whole year, and they can access all this content, lots of different things like mental health. There's courses on mental health, well-being. There's courses on anxiety, depression, coping with grief, anxiety. There's courses that you can do with the students. There's courses that you can do as a parent with your children. So there's lots of different things. So the idea is basically just to collect all these amazing people together and sort of share this platform with the audience and get them sort of more views onto the good content that they're writing already.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Katie. And since you've started that Time, what sort of impacts have you seen with the people who are actually using the platform?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's just grown so quickly. We only launched it, well, the idea came August last year. And then I think we launched it on your Christmas show, didn't we? So since then, we've got about 10,000 people signed up. And we've got about just over 50 courses written by about 25 different companies and individuals. And I've got another, although Bassett has to do this, another sort of 20 courses to add on as well, written by about 18 other people. So yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Mainly we spent the year just trying to fill the site to make it really credible and something that is really usable for schools.
That's a fantastic uptake in the time. I mean, credit to you all. I mean, I'm not surprised because I was very fortunate to get a sneak peek early on, and it's got some fantastic resources on there. And why wouldn't schools be interested in signing up and accessing it? So, congratulations to you. Where do you see your kind of USP, the things that really stand out that will appeal with potential users of the platform?
Yeah, I think one thing that really stands out is the fact that the platform as a whole, like I said, it is useful for a whole school community. So it's not just focusing on one area of education. It's sort of, looking at the sort of linked up package that if parents are on board with what the school are doing, then that's going to have a benefit with the students. So that's one of the USPs. I think the other USP is the fact that it is really, really low cost. So for the school, we just try to keep it as sort of small price as possible. So it starts from £250. The maximum is £450. And that's for every single person in the school community. That includes the caterers, the cleaners, the admin staff as well. They can all access this platform. I think something else that makes us a little bit different as well is that we also sell to businesses. So local businesses can buy it and gift it to their local schools, and they'll also get the parent platform for them, so and their employees. So that's a sort of different way of doing it, to sort of join up those pieces a bit more and just say it's not just on the school shoulders to supply this to their local community, but actually you could help as well. If you own a business locally, you could support your local school.
That's a really lovely way of thinking about it, Katie, I think. And even with this sort of corporate social responsibility hat on, who wouldn't want to try and support their local school community, particularly when we've been seeing the things we've been facing the last 18, 24 months and so forth and so on. And congratulations as well, 10,000 sign-ups since you started. That's a phenomenal number. So congratulations and well done. What's next for Time?
Well, really excited about the next steps, because just sort of thinking about the longevity of the platform, and making it really unique for the users, because the platform will talk to us. It will tell us what people are looking at and what content they're enjoying and what they're not enjoying. This means we can sort of keep adding stuff to the platform. We can also get feedback from people. We can send that to the senior leadership team as well, so they can understand, you know, who's really speaking to their staff at the moment, who would be great to get in. The other thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at sort of global and national observances. So things like World Book Day and, Black History Month and things like that. We can actually create content for those particular ideas just to save teachers time.
Brilliant. Well, you know, it's clearly going strength for strength, and congratulations to you all. The most important thing, I guess, at the end of our conversation is, where can people find out more and hopefully sign up?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got a website, so time-training.com. We also got it on Siddiqui Education, as you can see at the bottom, and we're on Twitter at timeedu. So yeah, visit us there and sign up. If you're a business who wants to become a time trailblazer, we're more than welcome to hear about that. And also, if there's people that want to add content to the site as well, you know, we're open to collaborate with lots and lots of people across the UK.
Fantastic.
That's great to hear. And with that sort of time, it makes sense like Doctor Who's getting involved there with the time. So who knows?
You might.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this evening, Katie. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Yeah, thanks for having me again. Bye-bye.
Take
You're
care.
very welcome. Thank you. Cheers. Right then, next up on the show, we have Will from the Internet Watch Foundation. Welcome to the Check It Out show, Will. How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. How about you both?
Very
not
good.
Too bad at all. I think we've all got the same glasses frames here, actually, or not too far off, actually.
Nothing wrong with a little bit of matching for the evening.
Couldn't agree more.
No, absolutely not. So, Will, welcome to the show. I had the pleasure of speaking with a colleague of yours just very recently on a panel looking at online safety and safeguarding, which was Emma Hardy. So please do check that out via the Net Support website if you want to access that resource. It was a fantastic conversation. But for those who don't know what the Internet Watch Foundation is, what actually is the solutional service that you provide for people, and who are the people you provide for?
Of course. So we're a UK-based not-for-profit charity, and we help victims of child sexual abuse by finding and removing the images and videos of their abuse from the internet. And that's our goal: is an internet completely free of child sexual abuse material. So very big task we've set ourselves, but you know, one that we're working every day to achieve. We are the official UK hotline. So if anyone stumbles across anything they're concerned about, any member of the public that they think they found might have seen child sexual abuse material, they can report it directly to us, to our hotline, and anonymously. And our analysts will take the view, they'll take the assessment, and if criminal, they'll remove that content from the internet. So yeah, we have a team of analysts who've been going into our office day in, day out throughout the lockdown, removing content, as I say, yeah, day in, day out, and that's firstly how we get our reports, is from the public. Secondly, we're also able to proactively search the internet as well. So we're one of the only organisations in the world that's legally allowed to do this. So the Prime Minister in 2014 asked us specifically to do this, and that's now where we get the bulk of our reports. So last year we removed 153,000 URLs from the internet. Each URL could contain one image of abuse. It could contain thousands of images and videos of abuse as well. As we're removing that content from the internet, essentially we're able to collect an awful lot of data as well. So where it's hosted, the details of the victim, of the survivor, and we're able to turn a lot of that into data sets, which we're able to provide to our members. And our members are people like Google, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, TikTok, and of course Net Support, who are very proud to call a member as well. So we have 170 members, and they take our data sets, they take our services to help keep their networks as free from abuse as possible. It's also where we get sort of most of our funding from is from our membership as well.
Well, it's always startling when you see the level of takedowns that you have to do, and I know it's a constantly growing level, but obviously hugely impressive that we've got that kind of gatekeepering service filtering it down. Obviously, you alluded to, we're a vendor working with you, and you cover quite a broad gamut of vendors that are providing either the make sure you don't get there or the filtering and blocking once you arrive somewhere. From your point of view, how does that dynamic work with perhaps new startups or organizations looking to develop solutions to help support online safety and so on? How would that process of engagement with you work?
Of course, yes. So it's quite a straightforward one. It's just about starting the conversation. With us, we're sort of always interested to know where our data sets are, where our services are going to be used, how they're going to be used, also how widely they're going to be used. Obviously we want to make sure that our services are as widely used as possible to ensure that this content is blocked, can't be shared, can't be uploaded, can't be downloaded, can't be talked about. That's what we want. That's what we try and do. So we've got sort of several different services that sort of fit, I suppose, different sectors. So for example, we have our URL list. So every time we find a URL that contains criminal child sexual abuse material, as I say, we take the steps to remove it from the internet. It can take a few days to remove it, so we add it to our URL list. So our URL list contains thousands of URLs. We push that out to those members that want to block anyone seeing that content. It could be, say, in chat, to stop those links being shared in it when they're removed from the internet. We have a hash list. So every image that we find, we hash. We give that image a digital fingerprint, its own sort of DNA, as it were. So basically, we turn the image into a set of numbers and letters. Again, we make a list of that. There's hundreds of thousands of hashes on our hash list, which we push out to members to ensure that images can't be uploaded onto a service, can't be shared on a service, can't be downloaded on a service, can't be hosted on a service, as well as also, say, a keywords list as well. So that's a unique set of words or phrases which, if used, can pull back content. And again, that's very, very useful for, say search engines, or say in any sort of chat moderation or anything like that. It's a very, very useful tool. So there's quite a few different ways to work in terms of the services.
Well, thank you, Will.
That's great to learn, Will. I mean, so it's always a very sobering conversation with the work that you do, isn't it? But it's so important as well. If I wanted to become a member and get involved, Will, how can I go about doing that?
Of course, yeah, you just need to sort of get in touch with me, or through the website, which is going on along the ticker tape there. It's iwf.org.uk. You can get in touch with me directly. I'm will@iwf.org.uk as well, and be very happy to have a chat. That'd be my pleasure.
And it's probably worth adding, whatever your role in education, it's definitely worth checking out your website and some of the resources and insights you provide as statistics and data. I think it's scary, but it's important that people really are aware of it at the level.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, it's a pleasure for you to come on. Thank you very much. And certainly as a vendor working with you for many years, thank you for the service you provide. It's, it's something that we absolutely respect. So congrats on that.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to chat.
Thank you very much, Will. Cheers.
Take care, Will. Yeah, great team there. What a I'll say horrible. It's a tough job that they undertake, and we're very fortunate to have them doing that role.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So moving things swiftly forwards then, and because I'm probably about 4 hours behind now, knowing myself there. We had a sneak preview of our next guest. I'm not quite sure what happened there with the Pixies behind the
She's
scenes.
too excited, obviously.
Yeah, clearly too excited. But it gives us great pleasure to welcome colleague Kat Couchy to the Check It Out show. Welcome, Kat. How are you doing this evening? Oh, we frightened her away now. Look.
There
Hi. I'm so sorry. It said my devices weren't connected, so I connected and then it just took over and then I turned everything off and then they didn't want to come back on. But I'm here. Hi. How are you both?
We are very good, and it's always good to catch up and chat with you, Kat. And you are involved in so many different groups and activities and projects. It's always a case of, I wonder what's next with Kat. So tell us about your latest project, which is probably the best way of defining it.
Yeah, sure. So the latest one is the Of Primary Importance podcast. So they've started this month, and it is covering kind of all things early years and primary. So we have different guests on every fortnight from across the education sector, talking about a particular topic that they're really passionate about. It's very much kind of a Q&A style, and it's a great way of doing lots of advice, lots of kind of tips and experiences, and just a chance to really have another resource to add to the CPD bank for educators, really.
Brilliant, Kat. Thanks for sharing about that. So how many guests have you had on so far, and what sort of things you've been talking about?
So far I've had Kate Sturdy on. She was talking about using pupil voice in planning, which was brilliant, and something that I'd love to see more of in schools. It seemed like a really exciting process and a really good way to get them more engaged in what they're doing. I also had Oliver Wright on, talking about kind of stepping into leadership roles, but also smaller things that we can do to step up our teaching. And lots of really good advice on there about how to prioritize and manage tasks, especially if you've got multiple roles in schools. And then a sneak preview of what the next one will be is we've got Kate McCallum coming on, and she's talking all about her Minecraft education project that she did with her pupils, which was really interesting. She's kind of told me all about how that worked and what the pupils did. So that would be another really exciting podcast coming out very soon.
Brill. I mean, I know with all the things that you do, Kat, there's always that kind of that level of engagement, and making it definitely always a really kind of interesting format, the way that you share those resources. I think probably the key one is we normally have guests on and say, so what makes your solution different? And I suppose the simple answer is your guests and the topics that you cover, and that's kind of the key to it. How would people go about getting engaged with the podcast, whether it's to subscribe or bookmark it or find out more, or actually contact you if they wanted to actually get on the podcast themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So everything can be found on the Really School website. We've actually got a page on there dedicated to the podcast, but also you can find it on NetSupport Radio and on any of your chosen podcast platforms. You'll find the videos on YouTube, on our Really School YouTube channel. And yeah, if you want to come on, or if you've got topic suggestions, then you can just tweet me at Really School K. I'd be happy to do that. That's kind of how a lot of the guests have come on so far. It's been people kind of sending messages and just saying, I'd really love to come on and talk about this. So yeah, we're really open to having as many different voices from across education as possible and hearing all about your passions.
And it's probably worth noting they need to get in touch with you quick, because this time next year you're probably going to have your own Netflix series, Kat.
Maybe. We have recorded about 8 already, so that's pretty quick going. So we'll get picked up.
Wow, you're flying through. So any more sneak previews for guests in the future at all then, Kat?
So there are, a few familiar guests. So we've got Nick Ponsford coming on at some point, talking about diversity inclusion in early years. We've got Leslie Barrington, who wrote the Hattie and Friends books. And we've also got Azare Williams, and they're both talking about kind of different representation in books. I'm doing a recording this week with John McGee, Kindness Coach. So that will be really interesting as well. Quite a few different things coming up.
So lots and lots and lots to look forward to. Thank
Yeah.
you. And just to remind viewers, where can we go to sort of subscribe and find out more?
Yeah, so if you have a little look, there's a ticker going along the bottom, but it's the Really School website of Primary Importance page, or you can follow me on Twitter. I'm always kind of tweeting out all the latest episodes anyway.
Fantastic.
Ooh, jinx.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us, Kat.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers, Kat. Fantastic. Right then, Mr. Kingley, who's up next?
So next up, we have got James talking to us from BBC High Five.
Hello,
welcome, James.
Hi, James.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for making time for me. Appreciate you let me be here.
No, welcome to the show. Lovely for you to come and join us. And apologies for running a bit late, but if you've ever met Mark and I when we get excited, it always happens. So we're not doing too bad compared to normal, are we, Mark?
No, not at all. Although I feel compelled to ask you if you have any spare polo shirts available, James.
I'm sure we can find some for you. Absolutely.
Start with the important bits, Mr. Anderson.
Well, my wardrobe needs it after lockdown and all those cakes, Mr. Kingley. So, so welcome to the show, James. So, could you share us a little bit with us about what the BBC High Five actually is, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So the BBC High Five Inventor is this fun little programmable mini computer that is designed to help kids learn how to code, what are the concepts of programming mini computers, and step through some guided tutorials featuring, of course, Doctor Who, narrated by the Doctor herself on the Tinker platform. So inside the box, you get this great little device here that you can take apart and expand and do all kinds of fun things. It's battery powered. You can connect to it wirelessly or with a cable. So it's really easy to get started and learning. So you can start at the age as young as 7, learning the concepts of programming, learning how to make your device do something fun. You can build an intergalactic weather station or a spaceship repair tool. It's got LEDs and a speaker connection, so you can really make it interactive and unlock your imagination as we see this transformation of the world, as everyone's talking about the IoT, or putting the thing in the Internet of Things is right here. This is it, the High Five Inventor Board. So we partnered with BBC to create this wonderful way of teaching based on Doctor Who, and she's always solving problems and saving things, and technology is integral to her mission. This is a way to learn about that as you go.
It sounds amazing. I'm assuming when you open the box, it's much larger on the inside than the outside, just following the theme.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it was kind of surprising how small it is. You can see that it's really designed for kids' hands, so they can get in and use it, not be overwhelmed by it. It's nice, sturdy plastic. But yeah, there's a lot of things inside of the device itself, because you've got the manual, and you've got the cable that lights up, and you've got the battery pack. So you've got everything you need to get started, and then you can just go to your computer and log on to the lessons, which are part of the kit, and start coding and do all the things that you want to do.
I'm imagining at this point, let alone schools listening in tonight, but anybody who's starting to do their early planning for an event in December might be thinking that sounds like a perfect gift for family members as well. We always ask the question, I know it's always difficult with different types of solutions, but what makes your solution different? So what would you focus on as being the key kind of unique parts of what you're offering?
Yeah, I think the uniqueness here is that we've got this great partnership with Doctor Who to help capture imaginations. I think previously a lot of these kind of devices have been targeted towards already curious kids. Kids like myself, I remember taking apart my toys as a kid to figure out how they work and breaking them and trying to put them back together. But there's, I go around and talk to people, not everybody had that same childhood experience, right? They're like, why would I break my toys? Were you crazy? So this will help spark that curiosity, get people involved and start learning. And it does it in a way that's very easy and simple to do. And it's got that attraction of something that, hey, look, this is not some outlandish thing to do. This is a regular thing to do. And there's a ton of interest in it from parents as well as kids, because you see the obvious translation to real life skills. It teaches digital literacy, computer programming, the concepts, the understanding. All of these things come together in this single platform, powered by Tinker Learning, enabled by the Doctor Who program that we have on this High Five Inventor Board.
Super duper. I mean, I know my own kids would be so keen. I'm hoping they're not watching, to be honest. But it's absolutely fantastic. If I am a teacher or a parent watching and thinking about that event in December, or planning for what they're going to be doing in class in January, how can people find out more about the product and how to get involved, James?
Yeah, great question. So high5inventor.com, nice and simple and easy. You can go there, see the testimonials, learn how to buy it. It's available through Amazon or even the BBC shop, and you can get a hold of the board. We've got plenty of stock with delivery still available before any kind of crazy end of year events that are going on. But yes, it's all the information is there. You can review, kind of preview the courses and see how it works and see all the different expansion boards, get an idea of what's inside physically, so you can see how, like, if you're a total tech head and gearhead, you can attach to all these different bits, poke at the wires and that kind of stuff. Everything's on high5inventor.com. We're on social media, on Twitter at high5inventor. So we're pretty easy to find.
Brilliant stuff.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
I love that. And I think, particularly as we're encouraging, across the broader range of STEAM subjects, but just thinking about different ways to spark the imagination. I think that link with a familiar and inspiring character for many young learners with Doctor Who is a great way to really kind of get the inquisitive juices flowing, shall we say. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
So
thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much indeed, James. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for the time, guys. Take care.
In the future. Thank you.
Take care. I think we're synchronized today, Mark, that we're coming out with the same sentence at the same time.
I'm just going to.
No, I think it just shows practice of working together for so long. You see.
Yeah, clearly we need to work together more to try and get these visuals sorted. But what a lovely product, though. There, like you said, Al, I think that would be that inspiring and engaging children and getting their creative, but also their curious juices flowing. It is so important when we're thinking about learning in this kind of a way. So, no, it sounds like a really fantastic product.
Indeed.
Next up on the show, who do we have next, Al?
We have got Layla with us from Persona Life Skills.
Hi, guys.
Welcome, Layla. How are you doing this evening?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm an early bird, so this is my bedtime. So I'm with you.
Holding you up.
No, it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's good to see you. Thank you for staying up late for us. Much appreciated. So, we have a kind of a fairly standard order we try to run through just to kind of give the biggest exposure. So tell us a little bit about Persona Life Skills.
Yeah, so Persona Life Skills is an online learning platform for secondary schools and colleges. It's actually a web app we've developed in response to, the teenage wellbeing crisis. We've specially designed it to boost wellbeing by developing social emotional skills, and we're using ed tech to enable us to actually scale this out so we can actually get to as many students as possible. So the content, the curriculum we've developed teaches 22 essential skills across 6 skill sets. So things like being realistic, communication skills, and open-mindedness. But importantly, it does this through a unique personality insights framework, a framework that's been rooted in behavioral science and, importantly, specifically developed for young people, because this massively helps them to actually start to understand themselves and how and why they think, communicate, and behave in certain ways. But also it helps them to understand other people better. And finally, we get them to use this knowledge and insight to build these social emotional skills in a series of life challenge modules, such as managing homework, building friendships, getting along with your teachers, a big one, and even aspects of healthy relationships, such as self-love, talking about your emotions as a teenager, and even dating, very important for our teenagers. But I want to get it clear from the start, I'm sure the audience is aware just how big this issue is. Before the pandemic, I think it was School Dash, who a large survey showed that well-being amongst our 16-year-olds was being reported as 20% lower compared to, say, 8-year-olds. And it's even worse for girls, actually, than boys. Then, of course, COVID hits. Well-being is spoken of even more. According to charities like Young Minds, it's gone up the agenda for our schools. But then, I think it was only a couple of weeks ago, OECD put out a brilliant report that, you all should read if you haven't already, called Beyond Academic Learning. That, they did a global study testing 18 skill sets, comparing 10-year-olds to 15-year-olds. In only out of 18, I think 16 were better in 10-year-olds than 18-year-olds. And that stark difference is showing you that whatever we've been doing up to date just hasn't been resolving the problem. So I suppose in summary, we've developed this platform that currently has a free version to it that enables our schools and colleges to get free social and learning content, but via this unique personality insights framework that's been, tailored for teenagers.
That sounds fantastic, Layla. So how long has the product been around for? Because one of the questions we ask at this sort of stage is sort of what impact it's been having, but it might be it's actually a bit too soon to sort of be fair how to do that, though.
You can ask. Quite proud of this, actually, guys. So we launched in November, last November. So we were at the height of COVID panic, and we knew that schools were needing this. And at that point, we only actually had a subscription version. So we bit the bullet and developed a free version of the application. And within 6 weeks, we tripled our registrations and are in over 20 countries. So it just shows you the need and also the investment that needs to go into companies like ours, because this sort of product is being wanted by the schools.
Yeah, and I was really intrigued, and we all know the priority of well-being. So in addition to our chat here, if you head over to Netsport Radio, you can hear a much longer conversation that I had with Layla, and we'll really explain in detail some of the great features and rationale behind the solution. For schools listening in at the moment, Layla, who want to find out more, sign up, make those fantastic resources available to their learners, and I hasten to add to staff as well. How would they go about doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. So just go to our website, really easy to register and get started straight away, which is at persona-life.com. And we've got a team to support with any onboarding issues they may have. We really just want to get this into schools and get our kids feeling much better about life.
Brilliant. Thank you as always. Lovely for you to come on the show. And you can now head off for your cocoa and marshmallows or whatever.
Night,
night. Good night, Layla.
Good to see you. Take care.
Bye, guys.
And just a reminder there, do head over to Netsport Radio on the netsportsoftware.com website. You'll find a link to radio or on all good radio platforms. There's some great recent episodes, including many of your top tips. I hasten to add, Mr. Anderson. But I had a really, really good conversation with Layla and understood a lot of the science and the rationale behind it. And it is a great solution and definitely one to check out.
No, it sounds like it, absolutely, and such a big demand for the extra support and to have that as a resource for all students and staff, like you say, as well. Because let's not forget, things are really hard for our staff as well, balancing workload, relationships. To be human is to be human, whether you're 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50. So lots there to check out.
Indeed.
So please do so.
Next
up, we've got Mr. Paddy McGrath from TextHelp. He's not talking about TextHelp per se this evening. Welcome and nice to see you again, Paddy.
Yeah, indeed.
Well. You're going to be sending us into orbit, I believe. Nothing to do with chewing gum, I guess.
Well, I'm no Elon Musk, but absolutely, we'll have an attempt to do that. That has to be sure. So listen, guys, thanks for the opportunity to be here tonight. I've kind of got half a TextHelp hat on, it has to be said, tonight. But I do want to talk about one of the new things that we're doing, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
tell us more, Paddy.
I suppose people that know TextHelp will know us for accessibility, will know us about those accessibility solutions like Read and Write, simple toolbars that help and support students. Maybe it's Equatio for maths. very fortunate, I suppose, in Text Help that millions of users around the globe use those. So we like a bit of a challenge. And so we've launched a new product, and the product is called Orbit Doc. And really what that is a complete toolkit for PDFs. So for pupils, for teachers, we wrap all the tools up in one simple Google extension that they can use for any aspect of PDF use, either in class or at home. And I suppose if we think about online learning, how it's risen over the last 18 months or so, think about the Chromebooks that we have out there, the majorly use of Chrome in the classroom and Chrome extensions being a part of the system. We took that and we put everything that a student would need for PDF. So think about PDFs. We all use them. Certainly, we probably use them even more now. So booklets that a student or a pupil might want to complete, or a teacher might want to create, past papers for completion, online resources, simple PDFs from the website, revision, review, summarizing when you're preparing for an essay. Maybe as a teacher, you might use a PDF for whiteboarding, or indeed for a PDF annotation tool for marking. So what Orbit Doc does is have a full set of tools that'll sit right at the top of your PDF in your browser, automatically open, and that'll give you typing and annotation tools, and it'll also do that with collaboration. So much like Google Docs, you can now fully collaborate within the PDF, so really useful for classroom collaboration. Voice notes, you want to add a voice note there, or maybe a voice stream, so you can have a dialogue for feedback from teacher and response by student. We've got summarizing tools built in there, so you can pull out individual keywords, maybe for revision and review, put them into a brand new Google document or a Word Online document, if that's what you use. Text to speech is in there as well, and note taking, so full complement of digital highlighters. So we can highlight and summarize text, make a brand new Google document, revision, review, study, all of those areas. And we've taken all of the important pieces of that and popped it and integrated into Google Classroom. That means it's really easy for, as a teacher, if you're using it, you can create an amazing PDF resource, but you can share it in one click through Google Classroom. Pupils and students can then use the same tool that you're using, so it's simple for everybody, can complete those booklets, those worksheets, those past papers, right in their browser, and then hit another button and return it as a Google Classroom assignment. So we don't have to use it in Google Classroom, but it's a really smooth way to do it. And we also join the dots on something like Orbit Doc. So one of the things that Text Help is known for is accessibility. So things like dictionaries and translation tools and text to speech and all of those wonderful tools that we need to support every student, those are also there in Orbit Doc. So not only do pupils get a way to complete work or create work as a teacher, but they also get the accessibility tools. So you got a level playing field there when we look at whatever student we're actually servicing those PDFs. And one of the really nice things is, even if the PDF isn't accessible, we make it accessible automatically. So we'll make sure that all students can get access to all the tools that they need. We've also popped in maths in there as well. So rather than having a big maths keyboard where you've got to struggle to put in a quadratic equation and you got to spend 5 minutes and you got to spend 30 clicks to do that, they can do it in one stroke. They can even put graphs into their PDFs as well. So we give them everything, guys, that they might need, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a student, to complete PDFs, to share PDFs, and to really turn that work in really easily. And we've made it really easy to deploy as just a simple Google extension. So you give an Irishman 5 minutes, he's going to use the most of it there. You can probably tell that.
I mean, when I first learned you were coming on and about a product, Paddy, I had a good old play around and say one of the questions we often ask is what sort of differentiates the product from other similar products. But I mean, you've done so well in orating that there, because it is so feature rich. And what I love is how it sits really nicely in your sort of key target ecosystem with Google Classroom, you know, and you just thought of so much in there. Is there anything else that you wanted to share before your time runs out? Because you've covered so much, Paddy.
I think accessibility is so important to us at Text Help, and I think it's so important to recognize that those tools need to be there. The maths piece is really, really important too, because we can't confine PDF resources to just literacy. But I think ease of deployment, an IT admin can roll this out really easily, and then Google Classroom integration is just there. So it'll open any PDFs from them. So we don't have to coach our students into using it. I think that's really important to cover.
It does. It sounds absolutely fantastic. And just to avoid anybody being concerned about it not being right for their setup, if they're running Windows devices and Chrome browsers, it's just as appropriate, I'm taking, Paddy?
Absolutely. And it'll even work as the system default PDF viewer. So it'll take your PDFs when you open them from your file explorer on a Windows machine, and it'll open it in a Chrome window. So you've got all those features right there. And one of the things I actually should have mentioned earlier, guys, is for any school or college that already has, say, read and write from us at TextHelp, they already have access to OrbitDoc. All they need to do is go to orbit.texthelp.com and they've got it. It doesn't cost anything extra to have.
Well, that alone is a really handy highlight.
So if you missed the address there, and we've just gone now, but I'm sure Katie could bring it back up again. If you want to find out more about the product, obviously you can just Google OrbitDoc and you'll find it. You can follow Patrick as th_PatrickM on Twitter. But I'm sure if you go to the TextHelp website, you'll find it very quickly and easily through there as well. And I'm sure obviously you can find it on the Chrome extension store as well. So lots of ways in which you can find out more about OrbitDoc. Was there anything else you wanted to add before we disappear, Paddy?
Not at all, apart from I've been so excited to be on the show with you two guys tonight. I dress for the occasion, beard and glasses. As you know, I don't normally wear beard and glasses, but I put those on tonight. And Mark, I did notice the comment about t-shirts. We'll have to sort out some t-shirts for you guys for sure after this. And maybe for a few of the viewers as well. Why not go the whole hog?
Well, 39,000 so far, Paddy. Good luck with that.
That might be a problem for the budget, but we'll do our best.
Fantastic.
Lovely to see you again. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Paddy.
What a feature list on that. It just keeps going and going, and they're all really, really handy features.
And I mean, with Read Write being so popular as well, if you've got that, you can just get it straight out of the box and it's there for you at no extra cost as well. I mean, that's just fantastic. And I think it goes in many ways to their mission about supporting accessibility to resources and learning for students and pupils around the world. So kudos and thank you to Paddy again for coming and sharing.
Great team there at TextHelp, really are. So that's it's a lovely one to have on. So who's next, Mark?
Next up, we've got Jonathan from HT, and that's not a hat tip. I'm sure that's it's head teacher chat. Welcome to the show, Jonathan. Thank you for joining us this evening. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I forgot the glasses. I should have brought them on.
We'll bring the next guest on. You can go off and find them quickly. No, don't, please don't. We're behind time enough as it is, so sorry for keeping you waiting.
That's all right, no problem.
In fact, I read some work of yours quite recently. You reviewed somebody's book who's sat not too many miles away from you. So thank you for that. Well, I'm saying thank you for him. Thank you for doing that. Really interesting read on your report there. But for those who don't know who you are, what you do, and all the things around Head Teacher Chat, Jonathan, could you share a little bit about what it is and what the initiative is and what you're trying to achieve with it?
Okay, Head Teacher Chat's been on Twitter for about 6-7 years, and we've got a big following now, about 22,000 people. And our aim is to support head teachers and senior leaders in schools in many different ways. One of the ways we do coaching and wellbeing support for head teachers. Another way is our education business network. And that's one thing which I'm going to talk about tonight, because I was a head teacher for 4 years. I was a senior leader for something like 13 years in schools. And I never had time to find out what is out there for schools to use. And one of the things I really wanted to do was help schools find different products and different resources, because we all know that head teachers and senior leaders in schools are very time poor. And so what we wanted to do was just bridge that gap to finding new resources. And there's so many great things out there, isn't it? I mean, there's so many good products. And even tonight, you got the things, what Paddy was talking about with Orbit. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm just wanting to broker that bit to help schools find new resources. And we got a platform on Head Teacher Chat, and we have a whole list of different products, resources on there that we can show to the world how good different products are. We do reviews as well. So our reviews are quite good. And I did do a review of a certain book, and I really enjoyed that book. I read it a couple of months ago, and actually it's really when it first came out. And I did enjoy it. There's some really good tips in it. And if I was in school now, I would be using those tips. So the reviews are a thing for the head teachers and senior leaders to use in governors meetings and trustees meetings. So we go through the company and we say, okay, these are the good things that this company can help you in school. This is the benefits of your school. This is what other schools think of the product. And then we do a recommendation of actually how good this company is. So we do, and we've done some brilliant companies out there. We've done some big companies like CPOMS and School Bus and Cornerstone. We're at present doing some work with Net Support and actually finding out about what companies are there, and we've done some really small companies. We've got Go Read, who a fantastic product. I think they've been on Check It Out show. We've done Nordicus education and their self-evaluation product, and there's some really good products out there to let everyone know about. So that's basically sums up what we do as Head Teacher Chat. I could talk all day about it, but yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Jonathan. And I can absolutely, validate that, because, I think what's nice about Head Teacher Chat is actually also the community. You alluded to your broad reach, but you do really support and foster dialogue and resources across that. And I think as we move more and more, and this is something Mark and I have talked about both together and separately in different platforms and events, about being really mindful of solutions that schools adopt and being more aware of research. Well, of course, one strand of research informed is actually the evidence from peers or from third parties that really kind of backs up whether a product does or doesn't meet the needs, what its focus is. And again, I suppose it really builds into the bit about you're there saving time for senior leaders to provide them with that information.
That's what we aim to do. Our aim is to help as many school leaders as possible. On Twitter, we try and be as positive and supportive of teachers and senior leaders in schools. We try and put a positive message out to help them. We try and also encourage them to be more focused on their well-being, and we do loads of different things on Twitter to do that. And the whole point is, we know that products, they need recommendations. We need to know why this product, and as I keep on saying, it's about us head teachers are time poor. So if I can put everything, all the information on one page for school to say this is why this product is great, hopefully that will help them out. They're trying to save them time searching for all the information they need to present to their stakeholders in schools.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing about that, Jonathan. In the last sort of few moments that you've got left, if people want to find out more about the reviews and everything else via Head Teacher Chats, how can they go about doing that?
Okay, we've got a website, and it's headteacherchat.com. And if you look for the Edu Business Network, and on the top there, we've got all the reviews of companies done. We've done about 40 companies that we've reviewed, and we've given our personal recommendation to, and all the different information is on our website. Follow us on Twitter on Head Teacher Chat, and we got a Facebook group and LinkedIn group as well. So if you follow us on all those things and say hi to us, because we're here, so you can find out who we are. You normally find pictures of our dog somewhere.
Brilliant, Jonathan. Thank you ever so much. And just flipping it a bit, if I was a vendor wanting to have my product reviewed, or you sort of reviewing my company, how would I go about getting involved in doing that? Okay,
on the website, the best way to do is there's a section, book a call, book a slot with me and have a Zoom call with me, and where we can talk about what we can help you with.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much indeed for taking the time to come and share with us. And thank you for all the work that you do as well, Jonathan. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Lovely to see you.
Okay. Take care.
Cheers. Thanks.
I guess if anybody wants to know what it was that Jonathan reviewed as a title, I should probably just highlight there that it might have been called The Secret EdTech Diary. But nonetheless, very grateful for his kind words. Can I just add, Mark, I know we're running a little bit behind the thing, but we talk about the digital on this show and all sorts of bits and pieces. But also, if you head across to Head Teachers Chat, you'll also see they do an amazing set of very personalised and optimised planners for school leaders at each level, and very much structured to make it really easy to keep notes and track of things. And I know they're hugely popular, so another thing to look out for as well, though.
Yeah, I mean, whilst we're on a bit of a break in between the two sessions, I'll do a bit of a shout out for paper. If I was to reach around and I could grab my notebook here, but as a teacher, I used to get so excited actually about my teacher planner. There's a lot to be said for having that resource you can carry around with you that doesn't need a battery. That's got all your things in one place and space as well. And like good edtech use is about knowing when to and when not to with these sort of things as well. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for the teacher planner, and so great to learn that they've got those offer from Head Teacher Chat as well. Thank you, Al, for sharing that.
I have to say, Mark, in terms of me cutting over you on occasions, I apologise. I'd say our broadcasting has been a bit wobbly, so what we need now is some balance.
I think we probably do. And
how many suggestions?
That was the best segue ever, wasn't it?
Spent hours preparing for that one, Andy.
You guys are running a great show. It's so well organized for people watching this. Behind the scenes, the organization, the platform, it's really good. And I'm glad to know I'm not the only person who overruns that. There are two classic examples of that in with me now. The danger is all three of us are going to overrun by hours now.
Well, you know, when it's interesting stuff, we can get away with it. It's, you know, it's always about, for the viewers, finding out more. And, you know, balance has intrigued us all. So I think we need to kind of start with that question we always ask, which is, Andy, tell us about balance.
Great. Well, in case you don't know, I mean, I run a company called Angel Solutions. We're based in Liverpool. Liverpool obviously playing in the Champions League tonight, so big sacrifice for me coming on, but I hear Mo Salah's just scored, so spoiler alert. So we provide software to the education sector. We work in 20,000 schools. You may have heard some of our previous free products, things like Watched, where we look up Ofsted inspector profiles, or we give early data. So, you know, as part of the data collection period, we collect early years, phonics, key stage 1. So we've got lots of tools out there already in schools, things like Perspective, like Watched. Balance is the newest giveaway. And Balance is a curriculum tool. It's a planning tool. So it's not your classic tracker. It's very much bridging the gap between planning and assessment. So we are there for things like having curriculum right at the heart of what we do there. It's more of a formative assessment tool. But as part of lockdown, we then, like many of our other products, we gave away a free version of it. So where we've got our Perspective School Improvement Toolkit, we gave away Perspective Lite, which is now in 20,000 schools. For Balance, during lockdown, we were able to take our tool that deals with curriculum, planning and assessment, and we've given away the curriculum planning part of it completely free of charge, and it's already being used now in hundreds of schools, well on its way to hopefully catching up with Perspective Lite in our 20,000 schools. It comes pre-populated with curriculums, which aren't written by us. They're all written by experts and authors. We've had some lovely fun over the last year doing some webinars with people like Mary Myatt, who's come on, and she loves Balance. So she's done some lovely webinars with us as well. And what Balance Lite will let you do completely free of charge is let you set up as many users as you like. And for all the different year groups, it's for primary schools. It will let you customize the existing curriculums, or you can replace them with your own. But uniquely, I think what it does is it lets you do nice things like for those end of key stage curriculums, lets you see year groups side by side. You can drag and drop between years. You can customize the objectives. So obviously, as part of the new framework, the ability to personalize those objectives to your school. If you're maybe a school in Wiltshire and you want to weave in Stonehenge into history, not only can you do that, but it will also let you decide and determine which of the objectives in your curriculum do you want to assess against, those sort of KPIs. And you can, of course, get the outputs out of that. And of course, we give it away free because we've got a lovely upgrade to that then joins what you've built in your curriculum to be able to assess against that, to be able to do your long, your medium and your short-term plans, to do your light touch, professional judgments, your point-in-time assessments. And therefore, we called it Balance because the profession that we work with, it was designed by teachers. We were the software company they came to because they knew of our reputation in the sector already. It is designed, like a cliche, to give you your work-life balance back so that people can actually leave the classroom at the end of the day, if they are in the classroom, and they can do something of their own choice at home rather than the classic marking and staying up till very late.
That sounds really, really interesting, Andy. Thank you very much for sharing about that. It sounds like you've got a great product on your hand. Like many other vendors in the space, though, there are other products that purport to do similar things to what you're sharing about. So what do you think the sort of key differentiators are between Balance and some of your competitors in the space?
I think the lovely thing, first of all, we've always wanted to develop a tracker. I don't want to call it a tracker, but for people watching it might be the closest. We got to build this, after the Life Without Levels. So this wasn't a tool that we've had to convert or put sticky plasters on. I think because right at the core of it is curriculum. That's what's driving anything. The whole way in which we deal with progress is about how you progress through the curriculum. There are no levels. This isn't just levels under a different name. This is actually a tool that will help determine that actually reflects the learning that takes place in the classroom. And we also have a tool that aggregates it up if you're part of a multi-academy trust. So real-time data for maths in terms of what's going on across their school. But even the starting points, the modularization of it means if you're using a spreadsheet in your school and stitching them all together, even some of those simple tools will just get rid of those spreadsheets for you and enable you to do things on mobile devices or access from anywhere.
I have to say, having had a look myself, one thing that is very close to my heart when I talk about the delivery of solutions is the way that the product is presented and structured in terms of its accessibility and look and feel, and it's a fantastically well put together solution. And when you see the ease, which is often the biggest time saving for staff, the ease whether it's professional judgments or looking at your students' performance and the gaps that you present within the product, I think that really stands out as a really quality solution. So congratulations to you on that. It really is.
Thank you for that, Al. I'll put my top hat on just for you because we've got a circus themed office. So I will literally put my top hat on to that comment. Thank you.
But not at all, not at all. I think credit where it's due. I would really encourage people to go and find out more, which of course always poses the question, where would they go, Andy?
So if you go to our website, angelsolutions.co.uk, you'll find all things Heavenly there. On the product section, you'll find access to quite a lot of our free tools, like there's trial of 5-minute lesson plan. You can access Watchstead, Perspective Light, which is probably in your school already if you're watching this. But if you go to Balance, you'll see what's in the full version, but you will also be able to sign up completely free of charge to Balance Light. It's all automated, so if you put in your details, it will send you a login link, and you can log in and have a play. And there's actually some masterclasses coming up where we'll be showing you going a run through both Balance Light, and with your logins, you'll actually be able to have a play live with us. But you'll also see on the website details of other webinars coming up where we get curriculum authors coming in. So we've done sessions with Pathways to Write, with a literacy company. You know, we've got math sessions, love the foundation subjects. So anytime we get specialists like that, we'll always put them on that same website, and they're all free of charge to come and be a part of.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for taking the time, particularly on an evening when your local team's playing. So thank you so much for taking the time to come and share a bit about Balance this evening, Andy. Thank you very much.
Good luck, the Reds. Good to see you. Really, really good. I tell you what's interesting is they've got a really good portfolio of solutions that really quite unique. Some of the solutions and others are really about just that, bringing the common sense, ease of use. So heading over to Angel Solutions, I was really, really impressed with the breadth of their solutions. So another great addition to our check it out list for this evening, Mark.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And actually, I mean, that's a really nice bit of kudos for Angel there, actually, because I mean, you're so well respected in the space as well. So for you to say those things about them and the way in which you onboard and all those different things, you know, it is high praise indeed. So please, as Al says, go over to Angel Solutions and see what they can do for you with a bit of balance.
Well done, Mark. So I believe we are on the home straight with our last but most definitely not least guest of the evening.
No, absolutely. So welcome to the Check It Out show. But our final guest this evening, Paul McKnight from Vex Code VR. Welcome, Paul.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good to see you, sir.
I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. Excited to wrap things up.
It's not the graveyard shift by any stretch of the imagination, no, Paul. I mean, we often say we save the best till last. So with that in mind, would you share a little bit about Vex Robotics, please, and what it is that your solution does?
Yeah, sure. So for those that don't know, here at Vex, we have a range of robotics hardware that's used from reception right through to university level. And that's either used in the classroom or as part of our extracurricular competition. And that teaches computer science, engineering, DT, or more broadly cross-curricular STEM. With the first lockdowns in 2020, it became apparent that it would be very difficult, if not impossible, for students to get hands-on with the hardware. So one of the challenges we had was how would we remain relevant for students? How would we be able to support their education still and also support educators remotely? And that solution and the answer to that was Vex Code VR. VR being a virtual robot, but otherwise this is exactly the same software that is used on all of the other hardware platforms that we have. It was launched back in April, let's say 2020, and it's had hundreds of feature updates since then based on feedback. But the virtual robot itself is designed around a simple drivetrain. It has a couple of sensors integrated, a gyro, distance sensors, but then also an electromagnet and a pen so it can interact with its environment. And to move it around that environment, it's built on the Scratch blocks, so it's that familiarity, particularly for the younger students. But then also it can develop into Python. And we have a really neat code viewer. So when students drop blocks into the software, they can see the actual text code in Python that those blocks produce. And the block program can also be converted into text, so it can be edited. So it's really great for that transition from blocks to text, which is one of the ongoing challenges for computer science. There are 15 different virtual playgrounds in the software, ranging from simple art canvases through to mazes and undersea environments. And they can be used with the 30+ activities, which are mapped to the UK standards, allowing students from Key Stage 2 upwards to develop their coding, progress their understanding of computer science in a framework. And that each activity can be delivered with different levels of difficulty, so it allows educators to differentiate for students as well at those different age levels. And to support VR, we also have a complete unit of computer science curriculum that's available, again, mapped to English standards, English and Scottish standards, and then also online CPD. So for the educators, it gives you it gives an understanding and a background to how the software can be used to teach that computer science curriculum. To date, we've had nearly 2 million unique users engaged in over 8 million sessions and over 112 million code programs that have been run. The software works on any browser. There's no sign-in needed, and the best thing about all of this, the software, the curriculum, the CPD, it's all completely free.
Wow, I mean, 112 million bits. I mean, what have you been doing all this time, Paul? I mean, you need to up your game, clearly.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, it's working for the billion.
Well, and by the sounds of it, you're going to get there fairly quickly. I mean, I love many of the things we talk about, but in terms of, obviously it's great to inspire youngsters with getting their hands physically on robots and seeing things happen, but leveling the playing field in terms of making that accessible and available to all, I think is a huge big tick in the box. And I also love the fact that you've got that pathway so that it can be used at every age level, as well as you move from the kind of the physical to the coded approach to delivery. And you've obviously shared that you've got lots of resources already populated aligned with the curriculum, which I know will be a big tick for many. Where do you kind of see your USPs? What do you think really makes yours stand out from other approaches that schools might be using to deliver similar project work?
Yeah, I mean, it's picking up on a couple of things I mentioned. The fact it's free. I mean, there are virtual, platforms that come with a cost, but there are a lot that are free as well. But I think when you combine that with the fact that it mimics an actual piece of physical hardware, so it's not just standalone in a vacuum, that really makes a big difference. So, for example, our Vex Go product, which is for primary, if a student was to build the code base, one of the simple robots, and program it to pick up the disks that come with that kit, it will be exactly the same code that they used in that software as it would be for the Disk Mover software, the Disk Mover playground in VR, and the same for IQ and V5. It's exactly the same code that you'd use on VR that could then be used in the real world. And while it would be great to have one-to-one with the hardware for students, we know that that's not realistic. So if everyone can be one-to-one with the software, and then that you get the opportunity with the hardware, that's the real big thing.
That's a really interesting and important differentiator there, actually, Paul, what you're sharing there. One of the issues that young people often have been the subject of maths, for example, it is sort of getting that sort of context, that tangible, real life use case. So I think of some tools that I've used on an iPad, for example, iPad apps and things, where you have a nice little character and things, but actually how does that correlate and respond to things that have happened in real life? So it's lovely that you've got the virtual version, which is obviously COVID safe and all the rest of it as well, but actually when you can then start wanting to do things with actual hardware kit, you've got the parallel there, so you can still make use of the code you've been developing as well. What I also like what you're sharing as well, Paul, is the fact that it's another disconnect between switching between your block-based language and then your Python or whatever it is, your Swift, whatever whatever it is you're using. And so having that parity next to it as well, and sort of the ability to sort of convert it and see all that happening as well at the same time is a really interesting and I think important way in supporting young people with their learning around coding as well. So thanks for sharing all of that. For those people who want to get involved and find out more about Vex VR and everything, Paul, where would they head to?
So the simple one, vr.vex.com, takes you directly into the software, so you can get coding straight away. Offer more information on the actual broader products, vex.com, gets you to the homepage.
Brilliant. And we're going to now start a campaign to get you to 1 billion. Okay, we're going to aim for a week on Friday.
I'll expect it to be trending by the end of the week.
Brilliant. Thank you for staying up late to join us. But yeah, really, really nice one to round off the show with this evening. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Paul. Cheers.
Okay, bye.
Thanks a lot. Well, there we go, Mr. K. Another fantastic show, and just so many great offers and opportunities, and just got a great broad cross section as well, from the Orbit.pdf there to the Rise magazine with all the learning and sharing that we can get in there. The opportunities to learn on the LearnEd Roadshows being shared by Caroline right at the top of the show. Support for network managers, technicians, and IT professionals through EduGeek. We've had so many fantastic things being shared across the show this evening. Where do we go next, Al? When's the next show?
The next show is next month, and this is the point where professionally I'm supposed to know the exact date, but it's appeared just in time to rescue me. So I think it might be on the 19th of October at 7 p.m. Mark.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that's the third Tuesday in October. We'll be back again with more fantastic products and services serving into education. Again, as is shared at the top of the show, if you're keen to join us, if you are a service provider into education, it doesn't have to be an EdTech solution, although we do tend to have a few guests on who do that. But again, it doesn't have to be an EdTech. Please do visit netsupportsoftware.com/showcase, and we look forward to seeing you again next month, October 19th, for another episode of the Check It Out Show. So from me, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.